out for Zoom. All right, and we're about to do our pToken assets, our second community call, and this is also going to be our official launch as pToken Assets, a forthcoming Wyoming decentralized, unincorporated nonprofit association. And our book club friend, Dr. April, bounced on here momentarily. If you would like to say a brief intro, Dr. April, we would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Glad to be joining you today. April Conlon, as Young's mentioned, he and I co-host the book club that we are transitioning to a new app, but we've been on Clubhouse for over 4 years. One of the original founders of Crypto and Coffee on Clubhouse, and joined into the BTC and crypto world in 2021. So I'm probably considered a newbie. Professional life, I'm a clinical pharmacist with Veterans Affairs.
Well, thank you for that, Dr. April. And I know that you're on vacation, so enjoy the rest of your vacation, however long it can last. And hopefully, it will be pretty much a forever vacation that we would love to see you on as well. So I'm going to kick it over to I Am Lotus. Nobody has been building with me longer except for Tyler, and Tyler's hanging out with our daughter at a friend's birthday party. So I'm going to kick it over to you. I Am Lotus. Would love to hear from you.
Hi guys, this is Lotus, and yeah, I've been building with Jason and Tyler for over 4 years, and we have transitioned in many different ways. But I'm fully excited of where we are now, especially when regs are a little bit better this time around. So watch out for us. We're coming.
Yes, love that. And I'm excited. Like the conversations have even bubbled up with Tyler and myself about potentially looking in the Nashville area there in Tennessee. And we even had starting to have some side conversations around potentially establishing We Own Trust in Tennessee. So Tennessee could get spicy if that's the direction that we're going to go in. And I'm going to hand it over to John. I'm looking forward to collaborating more around clean energy and creating more ownership using on-chain cooperatives, but would love to hear from you, John.
Thank you. So we're an alliance partner with Tyler and Jason's company. We're a consultant and contractor specializing in building better with an analytics platform that delivers the true impact, the triple bottom line, environmental, social, and asset value impact of building to the highest standards of sustainability and energy efficiency. Unfortunately, we're all disappointed we were unable to make our project in Thornton feasible due to various fee structures within the development code of their municipality, but we've have a plan to develop a property project in Colorado with Jason and Tyler, and utilizing this platform to make investment accessible to at the dollar level for micro investors and to create capital to execute projects.
Yes, and I love, as I mentioned before we fired up the recording here, love the Texas representation that we have. And I would love to hear from Alula, who is also strongly representing us, participating in our We Own AI, our Pure Block One, We Own Pure Block One, our Agentic AI dynamic. But over to you, Alula.
Thank you, Jason. Very nice meeting you all, April, John, and Lotus and team. So my name is Alula Zarian. I'm a founder of Edge Consulting Labs, coming from a traditional accounting tax technology background. I've been in Web3 and crypto since 2016, and Jason and I crossed paths through my recent work as a working in the data space for digital assets. So yeah, super excited about everything we're doing here, and always excited to be around like-minded people that are also building and trying to create an awesome future. So.
And we have a coffee meetup in the near future, Lula. I told
Yes.
I met Valika last night. I said, well, one of the guys on the team here is here also. So
Yes,
we'll all have to get together.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and just to put forward one of the things that we're personally experimenting with here in Colorado, and Roman and I just had brunch yesterday morning at Woody Fisher, which is a historic building. I was talking, I still need to upload the pictures on our post, but we're facilitating our very first We Own AI. Going to start off on a weekly brunch. We may pare it down if we find that weekly is too frequent. But I've, as a lifetime technologist, never been more excited about AI, agentic AI, on chain technology here in 2025, but I'm going to have to shut myself down on that because I can quite literally talk about that all day. And would you like to make an introduction, John, with Valika, as far as that might be an interesting
Yeah, let me
conversation?
share where we met. So we both attended an event uh, hosted by the Texas Campaign for the Environment last night in Houston, and the event highlighted the outrageous amount of tax abatement that oil and gas companies receive on an annual basis and how it fails to deliver the promised social impact in terms of jobs in an equitable manner, and in addition to that, fails to acknowledge the environmental impact that those very businesses have on the community and the health of the community. And so we were in a like-minded zone last night, and we started talking about job growth and job creation and affordability, and then here we are. Off for you, Marcus or Valika, please tell us about the Black United Fund.
So I'll start, and then Marcus can finish up. He's usually my finisher. So I am the CFO for Black United Fund of Texas. We have been around for about 38 years doing community engagement projects, environmental issues with food insecurities, helping to train people, dealing with homelessness, healthcare inequities. And so our latest venture and project was to receive a grant from the EPA where we were able to do solar panel training and solar panel installation training for 40 participants out of the Fifth Ward and Cashmere Garden community. Our funding was cut, so we were not able to complete each phase. We weren't able to complete each phase, but we were able to still get the participants trained on the first level of solar panel installation. And so John and I were talking about that, and he was saying, "Oh, that would be great if we could, partner for you guys to train some workforce in other green energy areas." And so that's how we got to talking and ended up here. And Marcus, please pick up and finish the rest. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Valika. My name is Marcus Glenn. I'm a program developer with Black United Fund of Texas. I've been introduced to the crypto and Web 3.0 space a while back, but this would be like my first engagement in it. I'm interested more or less around being able to build community wealth and to allow communities to really um, engage in and participate in the wealth that it is that they build. So from food systems to energy systems, and all of the above, I'm interested in those things. So I'm glad to be here. I'm glad that Valika met John for us to be able to take part in this conversation and see how it is that we might be able to partner around real estate and the blockchain.
Yeah, and
Yes,
there's a
yes.
link.
Go ahead, John.
One more thought, Marcus. There's a link. There's an available opportunity that's well established in community land trust models. And we have an expert consultant who resides in Trenton. She's been to Houston before. And actually, Ann Robertson, who was one of the hosts at last night's event, has known her April D. Simone for a long time, but there's another opportunity here to develop a community land trust model and using tokenized ownership in this manner to allow for people to reside and gain wealth in the communities that they grew up in at the same time by preventing external developers from buying up land and causing inflationary effects on land values and moving people out and all those kinds of things. So there's a link on the investment side to use this platform for community land trust capitalization as well to do a lot of what you're describing.
Good deal. Excited to be here and to learn more.
Good stuff.
Yeah, and that's a great segue. One of the things that and before I go on that segue, last but not least is Roman, and Roman has recently. When did you officially onboard Roman into weown.xyz?
Oh, it was about 2, 3 weeks ago.
So Roman is very new. He is an intern of our very first intern with WeOwn.xyz, graduate of CU Boulder. I'll let you talk more about yourself, Roman, if you would like, or if you don't want to, whatever.
Yeah, of course, I'd love to. Yeah, so I'm interning with We Own and pToken Assets with a focus on AI and software product development. And yeah, I just graduated from CU Boulder with a degree in computer science, and I'm planning on starting my Master of Science in Artificial Intelligence this fall.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, so he
Yeah,
is
I'm
a
excited for sure.
foundational contributor into what we're doing. So he's literally getting keys to the kingdom because the kingdom is still being built. But that's one of the things, though, in what we're doing. There's not really any kingdom because we're focusing. And this is one of the things that I don't know how many times you've heard me, Roman, talk about progressive decentralization. And it's an important thing to talk about because one of the observations that I think that we can all agree on is that there's progressive centralization and the institutional buyers, open doors of the world have only amplified the buying of homes in our local communities that is really stripping away local ownership and continuing to drive up the prices of housing. Like it's a statistical fact that the institutional buyers were a large contributor to the number go up of housing around the pandemic. And it's kind of funny. I don't know if anybody has been watching the stock market. Open Door here. Speaking of Open Door, has kind of been a meme stock here this past week with Coles. But I'm going to go ahead and fire up, get back to our agenda because I do have a lot of things to cover. So, pToken Assets, this is a very, very historical day for us. This is now our fourth anniversary when we launched officially Retoken DAO as the and let me actually go here. I don't know what we've still got up. I'm going to go to docs.ret.team. I'm not going to unpack any of this. I'm going to go back to the agenda, but this was me getting nostalgic here a little bit. So, going down our agenda, one of the things that I'm going to always talk about is our FELG culture. And this is one of the things that I have the benefit where Tyler and I are blessed with number go up money that I get to spend my time building fun public goods and pToken assets we're absolutely positioning as a ecosystem public good. I'm going to go here to the home tab real quick. So this is our officially our second community call, and I am Lotus again. Thank you for creating an NFT to represent this monumental milestone for us. So let's just talk about here pToken assets. pToken assets, we're forming as a Wyoming decentralized, unincorporated nonprofit association. And for those of you that aren't familiar, Wyoming is historically a leader in new entities all the way back to the LLC, which is unquestionably the number one dominant entity that gets deployed due to its normally lower cost and flexibility today. Now, relevant to the conversation, 4 years ago, we launched Retoken as a Wyoming DAO, Retoken real estate token. And you can kind of see I'm not that creative sometimes. pToken is more of a property token. I'll come back to that later. So here in, I believe it was July of 2024, a year ago to this month, they launched yet another entity, the Decentralized Unincorporated Nonprofit Association. And we'll be talking more about our governance here in a minute. And this is one of the things that what are we looking to do? What is our mission here with pToken assets? Well, it's simply that we aim to be a gold standard within the digital assets space. I honestly believe that the tokenization of real estate is going to be one of the biggest transfers of wealth and create a lot of new opportunities. Because when you look at globally, two-thirds of the wealth on planet Earth is represented via real estate. And one of the problems that we believe that we can solve with pToken assets is around the liquidity because real estate is generally not a liquid asset. And with technology, that's something that we believe that we can solve. So our association will initially be composed of investors of We Own AI. We're going to be having conversations here. July is almost over with only several more days left of July. In August and September, we're building towards launching We Own AI via two crowdfunding campaigns in October of 2025. So we'll talk more about that later if time permits. So with pToken assets, this is our umbrella, our nonprofit umbrella, if you'll look at it that way. And within that umbrella, we're planning to launch additional on-chain cooperatives. One of the observations, we've talked a little bit about DAOs, decentralized autonomous organization. As a lifetime technologist and somebody that is a self-identifying Taoist, one of the observations that I've made, because most people aren't technologists. So one of the observations that I've made is I've gotten exhausted attempting to explain what does decentralization mean for people that aren't technologists. And let's be honest, a lot of us in American culture today, especially when it comes to our work, have very little autonomy. And that's one of the things with financial blessings, have more autonomy, Tyler and I, than most people. And that's why we love building fun things so that we can create better societal models. Because as a flag waving patriot, I am really concerned with with the widening of the wealth gap that I see happening here in the United States in the 21st century. So, anyway, continuing on-chain cooperatives, we're going to get great. We're going to continue to position ourselves as experts around on-chain cooperatives. And this is one of the things that we're building towards here next Friday on August 1st, which is Colorado Day. It's Colorado Day because on August 1st, 1876, Colorado became a state. And it's the Centennial State because that was also the 100th year anniversary for the United States. So what we're going to launch on next Friday is our We Own Colorado Cooperative. And this is one of the things that we're recognizing that we as people gravitate naturally towards our regional affinity as far as where we're based out of. And not only that, there's all of the regulations, largely speaking, are based on, well, there's federal regulations and state regulations. So this is where we're looking to operate within the legalities of the United States. And this is one of the things that looking forward to seeing if and when it makes sense. I'm sure it's not if, but when it makes sense to launch a We Own Texas cooperative. And maybe that's something that we even think about. We're already planning to be in Dallas for the Texas Blockchain Summit. Let me see when that is here. Texas Blockchain Summit. So, North American Blockchain Summit is October 9th and 10th. So, this is something that we don't have to make a decision around, but maybe we say October 8th or something like that. October is going to be a very important month for us because, like I said, our flagship pToken asset, We Own AI, is going to be launching. So, anyway, going back here, pToken Team Associates, I've got this on the agenda. I'm actually going to bounce over to that right now. Um, so pToken Associates. Let me go to our, let's see if this is it here. So this is our new portal. I'm going to throw a link if anybody wants to look at this. This is something that we're still working out because I've seen that sometimes it creates a little bit of an error for people that aren't logged in. But I do want to celebrate the five of us that went to the RITA. RITA is the Retirement Industry Trust Association, and five of us completed their Advanced IRA Institute. And for anybody that is interested in learning how to support, because this is where one of the things, fact about IRAs, 1 in 3 Americans have an IRA. The average balance of an IRA is $194,000. One of the things that concerns me about that is why don't the other 2/3 of people have an IRA? Because it's literally the best wealth accumulation vehicle because it's a tax advantaged arrangement. So anyway, that's one of the problems that we're looking to solve with our ecosystem is we believe that people hyper locally can make better investment decisions, and we really want to foster hyper local cooperative ownership because one of the things I don't have to really sell people on when people are invested, ideally time and money. A lot of people are challenged when it comes to money, and that's another problem that we're looking to solve with our ecosystem as well. So anyway, let me go back. I'm gonna again celebrate everybody, the five of us, myself, Tyler, I am Lotus, Alberto, and Roman. And if anybody wants to chime in that was on that, feel free. Otherwise, we're gonna keep on going on the agenda. Alrighty. So getting back over here, so getting back to our 4-year celebration. So let's actually take a look at the Genesis proposal. So when you think about what is an organization, well, any organization has some framework for making decisions about in alignment with the purpose of the organization. And one of the tools that we use, let me go to an incognito window here real quick, is snapshot.box. And we have our space on Snapshot for a long time. And this is actually where our Genesis proposal, all the way back, this is something that we created on September 6th of 2021. And this is basically the organizing proposal to launch Retoken DAO as the real estate DAO. And one of the things that you can see here, this is one of the foundational things that we're absolutely carrying over is that we want to become the most prominent and globally recognized real estate tokenization security token brand. And this is one of the things that's worth mentioning. And to bounce back to our home tab with pToken Team Associates, I talked about the people that went through the self-directed IRA. We're also creating the opportunity for securities licensed professionals. One of the things that I spent a lot of time in 2024 was how can we reduce the cost for raising capital, and how can we keep more of that cost for raising capital within our ecosystem, and how can we create economic incentives to really change the game for our ecosystem participants. And we're having lots of conversations around real estate professionals. I've said, will continue to say, one of the biggest opportunities I believe are real estate licensed professionals who also have their securities license. Because when you think about what happens when you tokenize, fractionalize the ownership of a real estate asset, unless there's a detokenization event, it probably won't be detokenized. We're going to accommodate for that. But anyway, one of the other ways that we're going to solve the liquidity dynamic around tokenizing real estate is with the pToken exchange. And this is something that we're going to simplify the process from a legality standpoint with a product that we're going to build through RWA Legal. I'm not going to talk more about that right now because I want to get back to the agenda. So here's a link for the Genesis proposal. It's in the Google Docs for anybody that wants to see it. And here is where we're at now. This is a proposal that we made on April 20th, where we're talking about rebooting, and these conversations have been happening for a while. With where we're at in 2025, it made sense to continue to push this conversation forward. And I'm not gonna, this has some interesting backstory on it. Here's a link to the official post of us becoming and this is the Decentralized Autonomous Organization screenshot from the official organizing documents, the articles of organization that were filed with the Wyoming Secretary of State on July 26th of 2021. All right, well, does anybody want to comment on some of our history before we move on to our community portal? Well, we already did that, so I'm just going to cross these off.
Just I guess my comment is just congratulations to y'all. It's a year plus of a lot of work that went into all of this. So that's it's really great seeing it and my kind of phase in the journey of seeing all of this, but it's yeah, big accomplishment.
You get to see a lot of the culmination of the experience that's been compiled over facilitating on-chain organizations, and that's actually a good segue here. I'm gonna bring that up because this is another tool. Because you think about like organizations, a lot of people think about a org chart, and this is kind of like what we get with HATS protocol. For people that aren't familiar with HATS protocol, HATS protocol.xyz, well, organizations work better with hats. And you think about like most people think about, okay, well, what's my role in this organization? And that's what we get to define programmatically using blockchain technology done with HATS protocol. So here we already talked a little bit about our pToken Season 1 team members. So this is something that I'm going to do an airdrop to. Send me a DM, Roman, with your Web3 wallet. I think yours is the only one that I don't have yet. And this is where one of the things that I'm going to do over here with this is I'm going to update the governance of this because we're functionally rebooting from Retoken DAO, where we previously were voting using another technology token. And now one of the things that I'm going to do today, and this is one of the things that's going to be bundled into our governing principles and established practices document, is our strategies for how that we do the governance. So one of the things that we're going to have is a couple governance votes here. So like this is RIP 15. This is a acronym for Retoken Improvement Proposal. So our new format, since we're now pToken, is going to be a pTIP, pToken Improvement Proposal. So for our governing principles and established practices, and let me go real quick back to HATS. So We'll talk more about hats later. We'll probably do a getting started with hats, especially for people that are potentially interested in the on-chain cooperative, and that's something that we'll figure out what we want that to look like. Because the great thing about this is it's very composable, edible, and we can make it also unedible, but or not modifiable is more accurate. So we'll talk more about this. And this is something that those of you that want to be more involved in the conversations over here on pToken assets. And let me actually go real quick to our link tree for We Own Network. You can find this at links.weown.xyz. So this is where you can find our events. This is one of the things for those of you that have, well, everybody's used Luma because that's how you got to our event here today, and that's where our community call is at. So this is the next one that's coming up where there's some conversations around. One of the events that I haven't created yet is going to be a We Own AI working group in an hour tomorrow afternoon. So 3 p.m. Mountain Time, 4 p.m. Central, and I don't think we've got any East Coasters on here. So tomorrow we're going to be doing a working group around We Own AI. I mentioned We Own AI is going to be our flagship pToken asset. That's where we're really doing the conversation to build our strategy for our go-to-market strategy. And that's one of the things you'll discover about that's very different about our approach is that we do a build in public format that we've been refining and evolving. But let me share this because this is one of the things that I would love everybody because we're going to be following this same sort of format. Minnesota is one of our top 4 states that we have identified through previous conversations. And one of those reasons is that these 4 states have the most favorable community solar regulations that allow us to become a next generation energy company. So I was just kind of laughing a little bit. I was noticing Marcus's observation around 420. Yeah, those of us that like, I can be a numbers geek, talking about like being a numbers geek. One of the foundational things that I don't even think that I've talked about is pToken exchange. This is one of the mechanisms that we're going to build a lot of architecture into intentionally to foster hyperlocal community ownership and progressive decentralization. You think about the traditional American publicly traded stock markets, they're architected towards progressive centralization. We're intentionally architecting progressive decentralization with pToken Exchange 62626. So, uh, what is that? 11 months from today. And this is something if we may bump up, we may, but that's something that I'm really looking forward to as well. So we showcased the new hats protocol. We'll be talking more about that because this is something that we really and we'll not only be talking about it, but one of the things that we're aspiring to do is to really create some onboarding courses for our cooperative members. One of the things that we plan to do in our association here with pToken Associates and our ecosystem at large is provide education. Another observation that I've made is our traditional education system here in America is architected to keep people financially illiterate, even higher education, where people pay a lot of money to go to college. Do you feel that you got a high degree of financial literacy, Roman? You just completed your time there as a graduate of CU Boulder. How would you rate your financial literacy that you got as a fresh CU Boulder graduate?
It's definitely pretty low.
So, like with what you learned through the IRA Institute, like did you get more knowledge out of investing using the number one tool for investing through that institute last week than your entire college tenure?
Oh yeah, definitely. Everything nearly everything that we were talking about during that training was completely new to me.
And just to unpack, there's $17 trillion, and that's our fellow Americans' money that is still largely held hostage by traditional finance. And pToken assets is all about disrupting what we all know. The reason that we're here today, hanging out on a Saturday afternoon, is we all know how broken traditional financial models are here in America. It's really sad, quite honestly, how far removed the American banking system does to serve our fellow Americans. And it's only through hyperlocal, community-based sorts of movements, such as what we're aiming to build here, can we start really moving that narrative and really educating people. And one of the things I'm really excited about with my IRA is creating a club edition that makes it easier for facilitating these hyper local conversations to educate. So anyway, I'm going to check off some boxes here because I always want to be respectful of everyone's time. So with pToken assets, we intend to obtain 501c4 determination from the IRS. And for those of you that may not be familiar, it's basically where we can use 100% of whatever treasury that we establish with pToken assets. And I say treasury very intentionally because that's a tool. One of the tools that we use a lot is safe.global. And this is an on-chain treasury management tool for organizations to use. This is something that we will use. We have another proposal that we're going to be putting forward. I'm going to actually put that proposal forward before I adjust the existing governance mechanisms on our snapshot space for pToken assets. But not going to go any deeper into SAFE, the Treasury dynamic. Did want to talk about obtaining a 501c4 determination. Not sure when that'll be. Not sure if it'll be 2025, maybe 2026, question mark. Don't have to make a decision on that. So this is important. So we've talked about an association. So when you think about an association, normally there's some definitions around of a membership. So we intend to create a founding pToken membership with a limit of 100, and it will basically be the first 100 people that go through whatever process that we establish. And this will require a minimum investment of $7,000. And that's basically a commitment because, like, for some people, $7,000 is a lot of money. We intend to allow people till June 26th. We already talked about that date for pToken Exchange to fulfill that agreement to become a founding member. And we're intending that founding member of pToken to last a lifetime. So this is where we're going to be with We Own AI on wefunder.com, creating the mechanism for the community ownership of We Own AI, which is a venture studio model for our agentic AI brands. While we're primarily going to be with pToken assets, creating the tokenization of real estate, we believe that there's a lot more opportunity to bring ownership to AI. And this is where we're quite literally going to be positioning We Own AI. We're going to be writing a book called We Own AI. And the subtitle of that book is going to be The New American Dream. So, not going to talk anymore about that. There's a Google Docs here on Linktree if you want to look at the New American Dream. We'll be having more of those conversations throughout our We Own AI working groups that are barely getting started. We're going to continue those at a very rapid clip here into August and September in preparation for our Kickstarter campaign and our WeFunder campaign. Those are our two crowdfunding campaigns that we're launching. So, and if you didn't catch, if I didn't mention, the reason that 7,000 is important and strategic. We're planning to launch my IRA, and $7,000 is the amount of money that one can contribute in a year to their IRA. So this also is a strategic number, not chosen by accident. So one of the other things, though, that we're going to be doing is pToken Assets is going to be a mechanism for launching a house hacking strategy that we're putting a label on We Own House. We've also talked, John, about ASE.homes. Still absolutely love that. And I think that there's even more opportunity around doing that. And we also want to have representation from a membership dynamic for the people that may not cross this threshold. And to be clear, like the 100 member threshold, we very quickly want to create some sort of mechanism that will allow other people to become a member of this private cooperative exchange that we're building out. So don't be afraid if you're like $7,000 may be a limiter. Don't worry about that. So, already talked about our snapshot strategies. So, I've gone through a lot in a very rapid clip. This is a good time to pause and see, get some feedback around any of this. So, I'm going to stop talking, go on mute, and see if anybody wants to provide some feedback before we go on.
Yeah, I just love the idea and concept of being able to provide, really being able to provide a IRA to everyday people. Um, and yeah, that 7,000 might sound like a lot, but if they don't have the access to a traditional banking structure to be able to access that type of mechanism, this definitely makes it accessible to the everyday person, um, and being able to leverage and take part in creating that type of wealth for themselves. So this is really interesting. I'm really glad we jumped on the call.
Yeah, and just to amplify, Marcus, the vision for the people that the 7K may be too high, because that, keep in mind, that's geared to be a mechanism, a technical mechanism that allows people to buy and sell on the pToken exchange assets in a secondary market. The mechanism that I'm very excited about is a hyper local investment club, and this is where we're really wanting that to be a very low barrier of entry, like $100 a month. And this is where if somebody's like, well, $100 a month for some people like may be too high. Well, if somebody wants to organize a club and say, hey, we want the club contribution to be $1 a day, that's up to those club facilitators. We're really planning to bring the technology that makes it easy. And there's multiple technology things that we're deploying here. There's blockchain technology, agentic AI technology. So the investment club, and this is one of the things that and the thing that I love about technology is it makes it very easy to, and this is me geeking out a little bit, it's called forking. So like that's one of the things that we're going to create is once there's enough traction to create, because you think about, and this goes into the how that we're building a towards progressive decentralization. You think about what I mentioned here, a state cooperative. That's a regional mechanism. The investment club can only, by definition, it has to be 100 members or less. And that's some long-standing exemptions that the SEC have some very brief guidelines around. But we own capital. I'm not going to unpack all of this right now, but this kind of gives you an idea of these different mechanisms that we're creating to solve this long-standing problem and opportunity around the liquidity of real estate. But it's not just the lack of liquidity around real estate, it's also the lack of liquidity around small businesses. And this is another thing that we will have more conversations, be intentional about creating solutions, is that there's a good amount of existing business owners that are like, hey, it's time in my life where I'm ready to enter a new season of life. I would like to sell my business. And one of the things that we're going to be helping to do is an exit to community model through on-chain cooperatives that allow existing business owners where we can create a win for the business owner, a win for the employees, and a win for the local community. Because I don't think I need to convince anybody on this call here today talking about local community ownership that when people are invested time and money changes things about how that they feel about their local community. But I'm going to stop. I don't think that I've got too much more on the agenda. One of the things that I do want to put forward real quick, I talked a little bit about the governing principles and established practices. I'm going to actually open this doc. This was just a copy of a templated deal. I'm going to put in some details. My goal is to get this version published today. This is the first version. I'm not going to unpack my versioning madness that I'm using. That's another story for the inner geek of anybody else, anyway. So, this governing principles and established practices, I want this to be published here for today to mark this as our official launch as a Wyoming. And just to let you know, in order to be a decentralized, Wyoming said it needs more than 100. And this is important because we now have two different representations, legal parameters of what is sufficient decentralization. The SEC says, hey, an investment club has to be less than 100. And now Wyoming says, in order to be decentralized, it has to be more than 100. So what happens with us right now not having 100 members? It'll fall back to the Unincorporated Nonprofit Association, but we can still operate with confidence that that limits our liability with that legal framework that Wyoming has provided. So I'll send an update via the Luma workflow around this governing principles and established practices. And this is going to be something that we will continue to modify, maybe look even bringing it up. One of the things that we agreed upon on last month's community call is about once a month community call cadence. So I'll take a look where I'm at on August 26th, if it makes sense to host a community call then. Maybe traveling in Cleveland for Content Entrepreneur Expo, so not certain. The other thing that I wanted to talk about to put forward, etch it into stone via our community call number 2 here today. This is another way that we're going to be best in class. A market leader is using forthcoming established practices. So become and real quick, has anybody even heard of a VLEIE before today?
That's a no.
Alrighty. So here is the underlying. So the GLEAF is the international organization. So the VLEIE is a process by which they provide an organization. And here's an ISO for those people that like to geek out on standards. ISO 17442 was updated here more recently with this VLEIE. So this is one of the things that I aspire, because you think about, and I didn't go on this tangent yet. One of the things that pToken will do is maintain a database of pToken IDs. This is our existing database of pToken IDs. We talked about We Own AI. We Own AI will be our flagship pToken asset that we're launching here in October. And if you go to ptoken.id, you'll be able to see this. So this is another thing that we can do to embrace best practices. And this is where we can also increase the confidence because uh, one of the goals that we have with pToken assets, in order to solve the liquidity problem, we need to bring institutional liquidity to that conversation. We aspire to do that with multiple mechanisms that we're architecting within We Own Capital that supports our goal of progressive decentralization. But I'm going to be here. We're on the hour. So, that being said, I'm going to stop the screen share. Again, this is community call number 2, our official launch here. It'll be formalized more when we all vote on the forthcoming proposal that I'll communicate with you all today. There'll be a window of time to vote on that. We'll give a week. I'll cut it off here for next Friday, so it'll be a little less than a week. And that's another thing that we will bake into our GPAP, our governing principles and established practices. But I'm going to go on mute, and this is an opportunity for anyone to chime in, some final thoughts, give us a happy Saturday, be safe, all that jazz.
Let me jump in real quick, Jason. The idea and the way I see it playing it out with relation to project business is as you're setting up a structure in Minnesota that allows us the opportunity to pitch our client in the big project, the big apartment project up in Minneapolis, and creating the structure to be able to fuel the opportunity to establish the fundraising mechanism, or the first step on that particular project is tokenizing the carbon impact reduction of the zero energy project. So there's a lot of different structures. The first step, as I see it, correct me if I'm wrong, is setting up the cooperative on a state by state basis. And you guys are working on the legalities of each entity with contracts behind that to create either a fundraising vehicle on a project to project basis, because that's how I see things, or in this case, it could be a fundraising vehicle. It could be in the goal that we have right now would be for carbon monetization from built environment carbon reduction. There's all sorts of opportunities to utilize the platform, and that's why I'm here and tracking this on a week to week basis, so that and especially relative to Houston, as soon as we get a project established here, we will deploy a structure and create an ability. And one of the things that we missed last night was having a sidebar discussion with a Houston developer that wasn't able to make the event, but we'll have a follow-up with him, and that particular opportunity has opportunity for walkable community, for manufacturing and jobs within the Edo district and all sorts of stuff. So that's an area and an opportunity that we're going to focus on over the next 12 months, because I understand that the developer has obtained funding for one aspect of the project. So we'll keep our eyes and ears open on that opportunity. There's a lot of money going into east of downtown Houston.
Yeah, and to answer your question, John, as far as the state-based mechanism, I see that as an easy no-brainer to really create some initial framework around. And one of the reasons that we love using the Colorado Cooperative Association as a legal entity is you think about regulations, and I talked about federal regulations around raising capital. SEC is the primary facilitator for those dynamics. Each state has blue sky regulations, and the Cooperative Association in Colorado is an exempt entity so that we don't have to register if we're onboarding Colorado investors into a Colorado Cooperative Association, then we don't have any state-based legalities. I haven't unpacked what those look like on a state-by-state basis, but one of the things that I think that we should put into a consideration that I would love to co-facilitate is figuring out a boot camp on October 8th before the North American Blockchain Summit in Dallas that starts on the 9th. the opportunity of us doing an onboarding boot camp, because what we're looking to do with the Kickstarter campaign, the We Own AI book, we want to have some of these strategic states in place. And Texas is unquestionably, while it may not be one of the four that we've identified, unquestionably a top 10. Florida is another top 10 that we're interested in. Tennessee is another top 10. Georgia is another top 10. We're planning to be in Atlanta right now, unless there's a conflict for KubeCon. The Cloud Native Compute Foundation is having a big event, and we're unquestionably, we own AI. We really view that as a great mechanism to onboard people into our ecosystem to really use a book format, and then where we can facilitate these boot camp events and really just train and equip people using AI and technology to be content entrepreneurs here in 2025 and beyond. And we're also going to be creating curriculum to train and develop AI coaches. I believe that AI coaching in our ecosystem could be one of the most profitable careers for the next decade plus. But we'll see. Only time will tell. One thing that I am certain of, results always speak very clearly and loudly. And that's what we're looking to deliver.
Yeah, and I think opportunity is going to drive a lot of your build out, and through our network. I'm not the only one that sees this as a huge opportunity, as we've already had discussions with other channel partners, and we'll continue to do that.
Well, we all know, quite simply, John, there has to be a better model, and that's what we're building is a better model. And I can't make it any more simple than that. And not model, but models, because there's a lot of moving wheels in what we're building, but that's where we're looking to really create a well-guided process and creating these collateral, education, all of the different stuff. Once you build it, you don't have to rebuild it. So this is why we're really wanting to lay a solid foundation. And I just want to applaud Roman for how much that Roman is assisting building a solid foundation so that we can really have the scale that I believe is possible.
Yeah, and the just if let me share my perspective on our project in Colorado that's in the works. The idea being tokenizing, as you guys have scripted the structure, tokenizing the energy assets. People can invest in the solar and the batteries and the vehicles, creating accessibility for the gig workers to be able to own a fractionalized token of the vehicle assets, instead of that includes insurance, instead of having to own the entire Tesla, and tokenized ownership of the very building that they're renting an apartment in. This is the real essence of accessibility, and that's what I did a pretty poor job of explaining to Valika last night. So I wanted to bring that up before we close it out.
Yeah, well, and here's another thing. If somebody wants to do a deeper dive, this is a tool that we will likely use, because you think about doing facilitating lending, like peer-based lending is one of the things that our banks used to do. But let's be honest, I don't think that most people would say that it's really a peer-to-peer dynamic that our local banks operate in. But a tool like Bullet Network, built using blockchain technology, is one that we can likely facilitate and use to further provide some capital mechanisms. But we're looking at all sorts of different capital mechanisms that start bringing back more ownership. Or that's one of the things I was telling Roman at our brunch yesterday. It's pretty shocking how much here in the 21st century our ownership as Americans has been systemically stripped away by big tech. But I could talk about that stuff all day long. It's 10 minutes after. Everybody have a happy Saturday.
Well, I would like to thank you guys. Thank you so much, John, for inviting us to join this call. It has been very enlightening, like the possibility of training community members to build wealth and
Mm-hmm.
training opportunities and decentralized ownership is like everything that we talk about and everything we work toward. So this is really awesome. And I definitely want to keep in touch, so that we can continue these conversations.
Wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. I see Lotus have a mic open. Go ahead, Lotus.
Yes, I have DM'd all the POAP in your DMs, so hopefully you guys are familiar on how to mint it. And I also want to make mention in Vilika, I know you have a solar class that you are doing. I'm also in solar sustainability in the South. And what I have discovered is if you're familiar with the classes that is provided with the SNAP program, the EBT, you can sign up your class there and the government will pay for it. Just want
Oh,
you to.
wow. I did not know that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, and Marcus did put our website address in the DM as well.
Yes, we picked up, and that was the last big, I think, conversation that John was involved in was our Hero X submission. And how many Hero X submissions have we done, Lotus, over the years? 5 to 8?
Yeah, I think we are very much mastered Hero X.
Yeah, we gave up on that dynamic though. Too many bureaucrats, government bureaucrats that don't get technology, that don't get what we're trying to do. And with number go up money, we're like, yeah,
We're early. They're not into Web3 or blockchain. We're early.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, we would love if there's other people that would love to unpack, or if they see an aligned, I would love to provide some guidance from our experience, and maybe collaborate. I don't have the bandwidth to lead a project, but if somebody else wanted to lead a Hero X, I enjoy participating. It's just too much right now with all that we're building with agentic AI to facilitate those conversations from a leadership standpoint. Alrighty, well, looking forward to having more conversations. Like I said, I can quite literally talk ad nauseum all day long, 24/7, 365 about this stuff. And we'll be talking more. Like I said, conversations are just ramping up here around We Own AI. The way that we're structuring the economic incentives, people have a very, because one of the things that we discovered, those of us that went to the IRA Institute, Tyler and I are going to be bankrolling funding. Like we're personally planning to invest through Tyler's IRA 200K into We Own AI. So we're putting a lot of skin in the game with what we're building. But one of the things that is also with it coming in through Tyler's IRA, we can't personally, as a core contributor, key person, draw any salaries. So we're architecting the economic incentives where we're not going to be extracting a lucrative salary for ourselves because that would bust Tyler's IRA. So we're creating very lucrative economic incentives to more equitably distribute the value that we're going to be building with agentic AI, on-chain cooperatives, and just bringing more ownership back to people in local communities where some of those people have never had any ownership, and looking forward to, through education, breaking some of those poverty traps that is rampant in American culture today, that we can do a better job. We all know we can.
It's
Yes.
nice to be in a room full of people that are passionate with what we believe in. I really resonate with everything that you all are talking about today. Kudos to all of you.
Yes, that was well said, Jason.
Well, I've had a lot of practice refining this rhetoric, and only getting better at it. One of the things that I'm going to leave you all with one last tool to experiment with is storybrand.ai. But yeah, that's where I've been refining my storytelling and messaging with the StoryBrand. But happy Saturday, everybody. We'll be back in less than 24 hours for our working group for We Own AI tomorrow afternoon. One of the things that I have a commitment around is to be a little bit borderline obsessive here in 2025 to bring more ownership to AI, because I don't like open AI, and it's really black box AI, but that's another conversation for another day. Have a good rest of your fun and safe weekend, everybody. Bye.